buddy. Hey YouTubers. This is my Ford Flareside pickup truck, 4-wheel drive with Flareside or step side. I got the 5.0 V8 and a 5-speed stick shift. So having a few issues with this truck. It's hemorrhaging oil out of the back of the engine, I believe the rear main seal. You can see it left a puddle of oil in the way here as I drove it in. It seems to be coming from kind of above and behind the oil pan, so I think it's the rear main seal. So I think that needs to be changed. And then also I know there's coolant getting into the oil, because I've changed the oil once before and it was like completely full and very watery. You can also tell by the oil fill cap. We might have cleaned it off, but it has like some white foamy stuff on it, so another indicator that you got coolant in the oil. So that could be head gasket or some kind of crack in the head or cylinder. I'm hoping it's a head gasket. So the plan is, I guess there's a couple different ways you could go about the rear main seal. You could probably take off the transmission and maybe jack up the engine a little bit to change that. I think it's a one-piece seal. I think what I'm going to do is just start taking apart the engine while it's in here, since I need to get to the heads anyway. So I'll take off the intake manifold and the valve covers and the heads, and then unbolt the transmission and just pull the engine out and kind of start by working on the heads and then get to the seal last of all. So that is the plan. I enjoy watching YouTube series like Roadkill and always loved working on cars myself, so I've done a couple big projects before and wished I had kind of made it a video blog, a vlog. So this time I'm going to try to do that, and so you guys can see the whole project, and maybe if you have any suggestions or ideas for me, you could help me out with those. Alright, let's see how it goes.
Ow.
So let's see, first things first, I'm gonna disconnect the hood, get that off so we can have some room, we can have more light, and we can get the engine out easier. So we have, I think I'm gonna go ahead and take off these two and this guy here. Well, no. No, I'm gonna have to get these two and this one here, and that'll come off. I'll disconnect the light electrical wire there and the other side too, and then get that off. The bolts are, these are size 10mm and this one is a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to try to keep track of bolts through this project with Ziploc bags and just identify with a permanent marker for each area they come from. So these came from the hood. I'm taking off the hood now and get that out of the way. Alright, so hood is off. You can see things better here. So what always scares me about starting a project like this is all the wiring, because so much and I feel like I lose track of it. What I'm going to try to do with this one is using duct tape and sticking it on the end of each wire and just writing down what it connects to, and then also, you know, just taking video like I am here and that, and I'm going to try to take several pictures before I start taking apart all the wiring so I can go back to that when I'm reassembling and hopefully get it all back together again. So now everything needs to come apart. So I think I'm going to start with the air filter hoses. Just going to unscrew these little deals here and here. pull that off. Okay, so I just set those to the side. So we got more of this area exposed. Let's see, what am I gonna get next? So right now I'm taking off this throttle cable cover. These were 3/8 inch bolts on the top, 2 of those. And let's see if it's connected. So I'll need to disconnect the cable there, looks like. So as far as keeping track of my wires, I'm going to do something like this where I'll put a piece of tape and identify what this goes to. I put intake sensor, and this just came right off of here. And so I'll be trying to do that with, you know, all these vacuum hoses and electrical wires and distributor wires and all that. I'm just recording this so I can remember where these go. A couple of sensors here. Let's see. So we got this little one that goes here to a vacuum that goes to the intake. And then this one that goes to this little silver piece here. So I just unbolted the fan shroud from the radiator on these 2 spots just to make some more room for myself, and see if I can get it out now with, I don't know if the fan will be in the way, so I'll see what I can do. I'm also gonna disconnect this radiator hose, just kind of making a video note for myself where that goes to. Right there. Okay, so the serpentine belt is coming off. Just taking a video here to remember where the pattern that this belt goes on. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take that out. I've got my ratchet on the belt tensioner there that moves easily and loosens the belt. So fan shroud is out. Next I'm working on getting the power steering and AC compressor off. So I'm getting these 3 bolts here, here, and here. I just took off the sensor that goes to the AC right here. And there might be a couple more bolts holding those accessories on, so I'm gonna get these 3 off and see what else I need to get. Okay, so it was just those 3 bolts. It's loose now. I do have a few tubes hooked to it still. We got, looks like a coolant hose for the AC. I think this is also another pressure hose for the AC. And we got, let's shine light down there. It's like a pressure hose to the power pump. I might see if I can leave all those connected and just push all this whole accessory to the side here. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but see if we can get it out of the way there. So I'm disconnecting the AC coolant hoses just so I can move the compressor a little easier. I'm taking off another water hose. It's going to be this one here. This metal part goes down to the water pump. It's this lower hose here. So I'm going to take that off. Okay, next thing coming off is this, looks like a vacuum hose that goes from the intake to the brakes. So I'm going to disconnect that from the intake and just try to wrap it over by the brakes. Okay, we got another few things I'm disconnecting from the top of the intake here. This all just comes in, looks like a three-way plug, two red wires, and then a metal tube that goes over here. So just pulling those out of the way. Okay, then we have another little black tube. This guy, he hooked right there on the top. And this goes to something or other. I don't know what that would be related to. Little three-way deal. So I'm just gonna stick this right here, out of the way. The next thing I'm going for is this top fuel injector intake. I see a few exposed bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, at least like 4 on the outside. There's probably some under that are hard to reach, so we'll see how that goes. So when I was unbolting the intake here, I snapped this, no, was it this one? Oh no, I guess that's repairable. It just came off of here, but it looks like this rubber piece would just slide over, so that's okay, I think. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts off so far. There's one hidden on that side, and then I'm not sure if there's still some underneath. Hopefully not, but probably is. And I just took off a nut here, and we also have this little, looks like a ground wire or something like that. So that comes from back here, goes up to, yeah, goes to the ground, to the firewall. Okay, so I'm taking this little sensor off here. It's videoing so I can remember that. I just took off this nut here, supported by this, which was bolted to the exhaust, and I think that's kind of what was holding this intake on here, because it's kind of loose now. I'm not sure if there's still some bolts on there or not, but it's pretty loose. Okay, so there is another bolt. You can see right down there. Oops. I can get a good view of this. Yeah, that one right there looks like a little torque bolt. So I need to find the right piece to get that out. Then it may be loose from there. So I'm going to take off this black hose here, that one, from that place, and the other side goes to the intake, and that little metal line there. Okay, so there is another rubber, probably vacuum hose connected to the back of this fuel injector intake. So I'm just going to pull that off. I'm also going to disconnect this piece from the intake. Looks like 2 bolts, one here and one right there. I just took off 3 bolts to the alternators, and I'm going to be disconnecting those electrical wires and then moving that out of the way.